So this is for Rabbit Hood, and with me today, first of all, is Little John himself, Mark Arnold.
Don't you worry, never fear. Robin Hood will soon be here.
And of course the Sheriff himself, Camden Spees.
Stop it, off.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I always love providing top quality content on YouTube. Well done, gentlemen. Few bits of info to get underway with this video because it's going to be a long one. So it's Rabbit Hood, released on the 24th of December 1949. And they had a blue ribbon reissue sometime in the early 60s. It's the 576th in the series, and it's directed by Chuck Jones. You can easily find this short. It's on the Looney Tunes Golden Collection Volume 4 DVD set. It's also on the Platinum Collection Volume 1 Blu-ray set. And I believe it's on HBO Max and a few other streaming services. So, in other words, it's the very definition of lost media, as we can see.
It's one of those cartoons that I remember growing up, and I'm a lot younger than y'all, but I remember seeing it on TV all the time.
But in case you're one of the few that haven't seen it, because there's always going to be a first time for somebody out there who has not seen this, so Bugs, he's trying to steal one of the king's carrots, he gets caught out by the sheriff, and the rest of the cartoon is basically between him and the sheriff, and of course, Little John.
Don't you worry, never fear. Robin Hood will soon be here.
Don't you worry, never fear. Robin Hood will soon be here.
Yes.
Sorry, I had to do it again. Anyway.
It's addictive, isn't it? It's definitely addictive.
Every time you introduce me, I never mind.
That's why this video will be 1 hour long. But anyway. But in terms of trivia, for those of you who don't know who that person is at the end in the live action footage, which is one of the few times you see that in a Warner Brothers short, that's Errol Flynn. He played Robin Hood in a film called The Adventures of Robin Hood back in 1938.
Which you all should see.
Yes, definitely see it. It is a great film, and it's easily available to watch as well. And
it's on HBO Max, and it's on TCM all the time. And
so
it predates The Wizard of Oz as a full-color film.
Yeah.
I think it's better, but that's a different story.
Of course.
I said predate. I didn't say good or bad.
Both good films in my mind anyway, but that's, of course, all based on opinion. But I'll tell you, if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. But yes, that's where that comes from.
Nah, that's silly. It couldn't be him.
In the audio commentary with Eric Goldberg, which, if you have a chance, listen to it, Eric Goldberg mentions that when Bugs asks the sheriff,
"Are you a veteran?"
Oh, I'm
Good, then it'll be easy.
And that would be a topical issue post-World War II, where veterans were actually having trouble getting housing loans. So, they're all returned back from the war. They're back with their ladies and all that. And they want to build a nice home, start a family, and they're having trouble getting loans. So that's where that would be coming from. The Duke of Brittingham is believed to be an in-joke, referring to the name of the bar across the street from the studio, so Brittingham's. And it's been said that Ted Pierce practically lived there, which, is quite sad because he was quite an alcoholic, especially later on in the 50s. For those of you who are not aware of the whole King Arthur myth, well, when Buck says,
Hood will soon be here.
Oh, Guinevere, this is where I came in.
That's a reference to King Arthur's wife. So, and again, that's another thing that you all should be reading as well. So, first watch Adventures of Robin Hood, then read about King Arthur. Don't watch the Disney film because that about the King Arthur myth, because that's only got the front section of it, and life lessons too. Wow. So, boys, we've reached a wonderful short. This is one of the best cartoons ever made. Would you happen to agree with that?
Yes.
There is something interesting about the design of Little John in this cartoon.
Chuck Jones was a little bit of a heavy at the time, and hopefully over my speaking voice right now, Anthony will show photos I gave to him via Judy Levito and via Ken Harris's family's website, masteranimator.com. Little John is entirely based on Chuck Jones.
See, I never knew that, because growing up seeing this cartoon, I always thought it was just a riff on Charles Laughton, who's not in the Robin Hood movie, but he was a big star at the time with Mutiny on the Bounty and other things, so they were just making him look like a generic fat guy, or a movie star fat guy. I didn't know it was supposed to be Chuck Jones, so that's cool.
Yeah, because you see in the Bob Clampett film Russian Rhapsody, there is a caricature there where Chuck Jones looks more, of heavy set, and the designs actually look very, very similar. So, Yeah, I'd say that would be the case. But, you know, let's start from the beginning of this cartoon. First of all, you've got to love the no poaching gag. I mean, that's like a holdover from the text every day. You roll your eyes, try so hard not to laugh at such stupidity, but you just do it anyway. No poaching, not even. I love that carrot alarm gag. I mean, I just love the extreme that both Mark Maltese and Chuck Jones went there with how the king does not want anyone to touch his, carrots. Right down to the fact that the carrots themselves even have this wonderful shield on them, which I get a kick out of. I also love the sheriff character. I mean, let's talk about the sheriff character here, because, we see him here, and he's got the whole, what's this? Like, he's got the whole, what sooth? He does the whole fake medieval talk. I mean, how great is Mel Blanc doing that voice?
Is he supposed to be a character of somebody, too?
Not that I know of. I think he's just generic.
You mean the way they drew him? Walt Disney? No, just kidding.
Because of the nose, right? But if he's not based on someone, it's actually really clever, because you've got Little John as a heavyset fella, and you got, it makes sense to have the sheriff as someone more thinner. It kind of works that way, in my view. But that's just me, that's just me. But in terms of the gags, I absolutely loved how twice in this cartoon that Mike Maltese, once again, stretches a gag to his absolute extreme. The one, perhaps, on a smaller scale, is when Bugs bestows all those titles onto the sheriff, which, again, the gag we'll get to in a moment. But as the sheriff is collapsing, he builds this elaborate thing to cook a pie just for him to fall on this pie. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. But the best one of the best gags of this cartoon, and it's actually Eric Goldberg's favorite, he points it out, is when you have the whole Groucho Marx-esque bit where Bugs has to stay out of the king's garden. Bugs twists it around, and of course ends up selling him a deed to this place, and seemingly for months he must have been building this house before he realizes, what the heck am I doing?
I think that was funny. That was a funny gag.
I mean, one detail I did notice when watching this cartoon again, and I've seen this hundreds of times, but if you look closely, when Bugs has the pen and the deed, where does he actually put that away? I like that touch. Like, it's as though he's got a vest or something, and he's just putting it in his vest, like I guess a salesman would probably do if they're selling it. But it's so weird when you look at it in slow motion, but then again,
it's like Foghorn Leghorn when he constantly, he's full of feathers, and you can pluck one of them out, but he just puts them on like a suit.
Exactly. But hey, it's
like
a cartoon.
Pair of long underwear.
But it's a cartoon. But look, I just thought it was an interesting little look there. But of course, we've also got the handshake scene. We're gonna love that one, which is another psychology thing.
How do you do? Glad
Nice to meet you.
Oh man, and of course it just keeps going on, and of course with what Cameron said earlier on is one of my favorite deliveries in the whole cartoon, which of course is the whole
Glad to meet you. It's a pleasure. Hiya. Hello. Stop it. Oof.
Stop it. Oof. But I think we got everyone's favorite part is when Bugs is the king. I mean, first thing I want to point out about that is just how brilliant Mel Blanc is, how he can have Bugs do any accent, and it still sounds like Bugs.
Gratitude for your faithful service, I shall knight thee.
I'm going to make a prediction here. Mark, is that your favorite gag?
That is my favorite gag, but there's one part of it that I particularly like. I like the whole sequence. But okay, so I love the part that probably everybody else loves, where he just continually knights him and clonks him on the head with the scepter and says, "Arise, sirloin of beef," etc., etc. But what I like prior to that is when he's announcing himself as the king, and he walks off at this kind of odd angle. It's not straight on, it's not side to side. It's kind of an odd angle, and then the red carpet just kind of rolls out, kind of slowly, and then at the very end, just the king just springs up. I love that part.
Oh, the timing is incredible for that part. I also like that touch when you had originally Bugs is like saying, "Look, the king is here," and then he's like, "Where?" And of course he gets conked to the head, right? So you think, okay, it's a simple gag.
Odds fish, the very air abounds in kings.
that sets up this so perfectly where Bugsy's just saying, look, it really is the king, it's behind him, da 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 da. But then the sheriff gives that wonderful breaking the fourth wall moment. He looks at the audience, is like, really? Is this guy going to trick me with that exact same gag a moment ago? Come on, I'm not an idiot. I mean, I'm the idiot that built a house for 9 months, but, you know, you just go along with that. It's so good.
I also like the sheer obscurity of just the Adventures of Robin Hood clip. Now, that was released over 10 years ago, and most movies don't get reshown. So, unlike today, where people remember every movie they ever see because they can see it as many times as they want, after they're done seeing a movie, that's it. There was no public way to view Adventures of Robin Hood. But that movie was extremely successful, and that movie stood out as a hit. And will be later remade with scenes shot for shot from the Adventures of Robin Hood in Robin Hood Daffy, which is also Linda Jones's favorite cartoon.
It's a great one.
Chuck's daughter. Now, this is what that whole thing is a parody of, so it's only natural that Errol Flynn would appear at the end, which obviously the film is owned by Warner Brothers. The film is a Warner Brothers feature, and it's one of Warner Brothers' best features they ever made. That's why, and like, there was no such thing as, you know, in this short cartoon, we have to pay Errol Flynn some odd dollars for using his face in this cartoon. There's no director residuals. This is just, you know, they had it in the can, they can put it in at the end, and it costs less money.
And it's actually funny as a joke.
Yeah.
Because one thing I want to point out is that there was this one bit of trivia that I was sort of iffy about. I couldn't find anything to corroborate it. And that's allegedly Errol Flynn was given a copy of the film in order to agree to appear in this short, which makes no sense to me anyway, because
no, that's what Jack Benny did when he did his short.
Yeah, well, that's true. But the Errol Flynn thing doesn't make sense, and it wasn't really until the 80s or so with Back to the Future Part 2 where there was a whole thing about losing someone else's likenesses and all that stuff, that unless someone can give me evidence to the contrary, I think that rumor's bunk, but that's just me. Of course.
I do have something to add to what Camden was saying. This movie, Adventures of Robin Hood, although it came out in 1938, movies were reissued if they were successful many times in the theater, and they actually reissued it in 1948. And if you want to see the 1948 reissue trailer, you can look on YouTube, but it's also on the Criterion Laserdisc of this film. So it was fresh in people's minds again in 1949. So just a little trivia.
Of course. No, that's right. For popular films, yeah, things we reissued. I mean, I know Disney reissued a lot of their films.
Disney reissued his films all the time.
But even live action films, yes, they did. You know, they didn't reissue everything. Obviously, if a film was a tremendous flop, sometimes they'd reissue it because they'd say, oh, let's give it a second go. Or they'd do it as a double feature, and then it might find a life later. A good example is like Citizen Kane. It was a flop when it came out, but it got reissued a few times, and then it got... Or Fantasia, even. That's a Disney film, but, you know, it's like...
Oh, exactly. It's basically... It all depends, I suppose, is probably the right answer.
Right.
You know, Gone with the Wind and big films like that would be reissued and so on because of how big they are.
And the other thing was that I don't know this for a fact, but I imagine, because by this point the studio is on the Warner Brothers lot, right?
Yeah.
They're now, at this point, Leon Schlesinger had sold the studio, and they're on the Warner's lot. They can go freely across the studio wherever they please, right? I imagine it was Treg Brown, the sound editor, who's the one who would say, okay, we can just call over, we can just have Johnny Burton, I would imagine, would be working the desk, or someone like that would be saying, okay, we need Adventures of Robin Hood, and they could just go to the editing room and just copy and cut a scene.
Exactly, and I think with that as well, given that Robin Hood's such a popular movie, it would have been easy for them to find. If it was just some obscure film from like 10 years ago, never seen again, they might have had a harder time trying to find it because they didn't really look after a lot of the films properly in some cases. That's why some films are lost.
It's like Jay Ward's Fractured Flickers. My friend Skip Craig, who worked on the show, he always says that they used to go to warehouses and like they used to go with some really shady characters to get the films.
Yeah, a lot of the time these things just are not looked after.
Yeah.
That's why so many things are lost. Because especially because of the nitrate films that they just stop being usable. They would even burn and all sorts.
Or they can explode it. And like, remember, I always tell people this: the thing about nitrate films is they can be so dangerous that they set fire underwater. So
that's actually literally a plot point in Quentin Tarantino's Inglourious Bastards. So there you go. So we've gone from Robin Hood to Quentin Tarantino. How we did that, I don't know, but we somehow did it. So I'll give myself a medal for that. So Now, as an added bonus for this video, I've got two extra guests for you. First up is Manny Cruz here to discuss the music.
Hi everyone, this is Manny Cruz, the Toonie Tenor, coming at you today with a little bit more of It's Time for Manny's Music Time with music trivia for you today. I really got to sit down and figure out the piano part for it and practice my piano skills. So I want to talk a little bit about this excellent 1949 cartoon by Chuck Jones, Rabbit Hood. So this cartoon has a few cues associated with England, with the United Kingdom, as well as some contemporary cues of that time, and Carl Stalling did some amazing work in this cartoon. So throughout the cartoon you do hear Rule Britannia, which was composed by Thomas Augustine Arne, and usually when you hear that piece it is heavily associated with England and royalty.
Sheriff of Nottingham, in gratitude for your faithful service, I shall knight thee.
Your most gracious majesty.
You also hear at the very beginning of the cartoon the British Grenadiers, which is a traditional song from England, and you hear a scene where you see the King's carrot pack. What I also thought was really interesting at the very beginning of the cartoon is that you hear a piece of music from Richard Wagner's opera Das Rheingold, the Rheingold, Fasolt und Fafner. That's the name of the excerpt that you hear, and that's when you see all the wanted posters. And I always chuckle at the no poaching, not even egg joke, which, as Eric Goldberg said in the audio commentary for this cartoon, is like a nice little throwback to a Tex Avery kind of joke. In the scene where you have the Sheriff of Nottingham meeting Little John and they're exchanging pleasantries, that scene always makes me laugh. You hear, for he's a jolly good fellow.
I came in. Oh, you again. Sheriff of Nottingham, meet Little John.
How do you
Glad
do?
to meet you.
Little John, Sheriff of Nottingham.
How do you do, I'm
It's
sure.
a pleasure.
And of course, who can forget another traditional piece of music when the Sheriff of Nottingham is just bludgeoned repeatedly in the head, and my goodness, that scene cracks me up so much. And when he sings his wonderful interpretation of London Bridge is Falling Down, you definitely hear that one in this cartoon, and my goodness, it's so funny. Mel Blanc, chef's kiss for the performance he did in this cartoon.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down.
The scene where Bugs is acting as a salesman and manages to get the Sheriff of Nottingham to buy the property is one of the best scenes in the cartoon. I would say that and the knighting scene are my two favorites. But what I love about this scene in particular is that Carl Stalling seamlessly creates a medley of 3 different songs throughout that I never noticed before until watching it recently, and I was like, wow, that is brilliant. So he starts off as Bugs is showing the property. You hear I'm looking over a 4-leaf clover, which has been used before in many Warner Brothers cartoons.
Take this piece of ground over here. Now here's a nice piece of property. Level, fruit trees, choice view.
And then it transitions into Home Sweet Home.
Are you a veteran?
No, I'm,
Good, then it'll be easy. Here, just sign on the
And then near the end it transitions to We're in the Money, when Bugs is trying to hustle the Sheriff of Nottingham to sign the contract, which he does.
Never regret it, my friend. This place will double in value inside of 6 months.
And again, what an absolutely brilliant scene, because the fact that Carl Stalling weaved those 3 songs into the musical landscape, into the score, and adding another joke to the narrative is just absolutely brilliant. When Bugs Bunny mentions Chevy Chase in Beyond Yonder Chevy Chase or something like that, I was like, wait a minute, Chevy Chase the actor? And I'm pretty sure he was either not born yet or he was a child when this cartoon came out. And I looked it up. He was born 6 years earlier than this cartoon in 1943. And his real name is Cornelius Crane Chase. I did look it up, and the Chevy Chase joke refers to a ballad, an English ballad called The Ballad of Chevy Chase, which originated sometime in the 15th century. A ballad is a type of narrative that's set to music. Later on in the cartoon, you see Bugs Bunny coming out when he announces the king, and he's playing a clarion, which is the type of trumpet that he's using, and instead of playing a traditional British fanfare, he plays the first call, also known as a call to the post, which everybody thinks of when you think of horse racing. The fanfare is actually more of a reveille, which for those of you that don't know is a call associated with the military and is usually performed by a bugle or a trumpet, fife and drums, or pipes. So that was my thoughts and Manny's music time for this particular cartoon. My goodness, so good. So much stuff in this one, and I hope you enjoy. Have a nice day. That's all, folks.
And what's this? Oh no, my pal blugenesi, who's been assisting me on redoing my commentaries, has invaded my channel with one of his cartoon review videos. While I figure out how to try and stop him, take a look at the type of reviews he's been doing over on his channel.
Play the cartoon!
Rabbit Hood was released on the 24th of... Wait a second. Did we take a wrong turn at Albuquerque? What's going on? Nah. Welcome to the next level, guys. I couldn't make a recording date work with Anthony, so I'm just adding my part as one of my standard Toon Dudes videos. Now, I'm sure with all the talent Anthony asked to be here, they have gotten all the historical and fun trivia out of the way. So why don't we start with the lobby card? Yeah, that's definitely Bugs Bunny as Robin Hood. That carrot is oddly shaped, though, probably just to make this bit work. I'd say it's passable, but that's really just the low standards the Tom and Jerry lobby cards give you. Anyhow, a fun little story I have is that this is the very first HD restoration I ever saw. It was included as a bonus in a Blu-ray release of the 1938 film The Adventures of Robin Hood, a few years before the Platinum Collection came out. And I'm pretty sure this is what sold 10-year-old me on the Blu-ray medium. Seeing the cartoon this clear was amazing to me at that age, and it really showed me the power of a proper restoration. It's also really nice of Bugs to let us know who his favorite Weekend Update host is.
Or yawn Chevy Chase.
I'm more of a Norm Macdonald guy, but I love Christmas Vacation, so Bugs' choice is valid. Now, there's a lot of great gags in this cartoon. The bit where Bugs bashes the sheriff in the head several times disguised as the king. The bit where Bugs bakes a cake right before he collapses. But my all-time favorite gag is when Bugs sells some of the king's land to the sheriff. The cut with an unknown amount of time passing as he has several hours worth of work into building his home before he realizes it's just comedy gold. It's one of my favorite moments in any Chuck Jones short. This is the point where I'd usually just play the end of the cartoon and cut the video, but it's not my video and it's really up to Anthony on how he does it, so I guess I'll plug myself. My name is blugenesi, and not only do I do some re-editing of the commentaries for this channel, I also run a channel of my very own. I do videos in animation just like this one, and gaming retrospectives and anything else I'm really interested in. As there's not much else to do up here in the special zone. Oh, yeah. I'm stuck up here with a cast of characters just because Anthony had to watch Shrek. If that sounds ridiculous... Anyhow, Rabbit Hood is a classic. I'll let people more qualified than me talk about it, but I guess Anthony's there too, so... Anyways, see ya!
So, to slowly wind things up, for me, this is a 10 out of 10 cartoon. It's perfection in every way. Every gag works. Animation's perfect. It's perfection. I will say perfect again because it is. It's perfect.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 for me.
What about you, Mark? Will you be doing the same, or will you dissent, sir?
Oh, I could be obnoxious and say 9.8 or something, but no, it's a 10.
If this isn't a 10, what is? In terms of
exactly. I mean, even as a kid, before I was really versed in Looney Tunes lore, the thing that always intrigued me was whenever a Looney Tune or a cartoon in general would have a live action bit, and the Errol Flynn thing was so memorable, and I said, I love this for that. Now, there's that other one where, that Yosemite Sam cartoon, you might know the title, where they look into the furnace and they see a party going on. You see a shot of a live action party going on. Things like that, you know. I love the little type of gags like that. Yeah, so.
Yeah, as long as it works.
Rabbit every Monday.
Thank you. Yes. You guys know the titles. I just know the cartoons.
Exactly, and that's a big problem with a lot of the free stuff.
Rabbit Hood's a good title to remember, an easy title to remember, so I did remember this one.
Exactly, because with Chris Freeling's shorts, a lot of the time, especially around this period of time, I know the shorts, I've seen them, but because the titles are so generic...
I remember the title of that one just because it's Sam as a hunter, so I remember that one. But I can't tell you which pirate film is which.
We'll wrap it up here. So, as always, guys, thank you so much for watching this, and until next time, take care.
Don't you worry, never fear. Robin Hood will soon be here. And there he is.
Welcome to Sherwood.
Welcome to Sherwood.
Welcome to Sherwood. I figured I'm Aussie, and that comes from
You
English.
sound pretty good. Welcome to Sherwood. I don't know if I can do it.
I guess I'm the Robin Hood of this particular thing.
Yes.
But anyway,
Don't you worry, never fear. Robin Hood will soon be here.
Well, where is he?
Oh, you should not talk mean like that, because there he is.
Welcome to Sherwood.
Nah, that's silly. It couldn't be him.